Okay, welcome to part 2, where we left off was that we had just calculated all of the residuals for our predicted value based on the line of best fit that we came up with using the sliders, the best line that we could eyeball. We have the residuals, and the next thing we're going to do is square each of these numbers. The purpose of squaring them is so that we'll end up with all positive residuals. Negative numbers will become positive. And again, we're going to use a formula. Every formula starts with the equal sign. We want to square this. So I think we could probably use this little shift 6 caret 2. That looks about right, 2.6 squared. And so then let's copy this down. Now we have the square of all of the residuals from our data. And then in this last box down here, we're going to find the sum of all of those squares. So to do sum, we're going to use equals, and we're going to use a formula called sum. So type in the word SUM and open parenthesis. And while you have open parenthesis, we're going to click on the top of the column, hold and drag all the way to the bottom, let go, and whoops, we missed one. I'm going to fix that by typing in 16. And what that did was it added all that up. So we have a number which doesn't mean much to you right now, but that number is 902 point something. That is the sum of the squares of all of our residuals from that particular line. Okay, and you've entered that in the appropriate place on your document. The next thing is we're going to go back to Desmos, and we're going to say, okay, let's let the graphing calculator make that line of best fit for us. And this is where we're going to use the Y1 quiggly line MX1 feature. Plus B. Ooh, that looks very similar to what we just did. And I'm not seeing my parameters. I'm not sure why. Okay, back online here. I just figured out why. So before we did that, let's get rid of our line that we estimated. Make sure you have that information written down. So let's just X out each of these things. And then we've let Desmos make the line, which looks a little bit different. As you can see, we have a different M value and a different B value. So we're then going to take that M and B and fill out the rest of the spreadsheet. So I'm going to pause and then resume once I have some of that written in, and I'll show you what I did. Okay, so I'm back in the spreadsheet, and what you can see is I've typed that same formula, but using the new information for the slope of 0.7 and the y-intercept of 143.4, but using x as our a again, and we get an output of 159.5, which looks exactly the same as the actual. So let's see if I copy this formula down. You can see that we will have some residuals, so they're not all exactly the same. So I'm going to pause for a moment. Okay, so you can see for this residual, I've used F2, so the predicted value using our new line of best fit that Desmos made, and then again minus B, our actual, and that gives us a certain residual, which in this case was 0, because remember it was exactly the same, but they're not all that way, so we copy that formula down, and we get a bunch of residuals again, and we're going to square those again by saying equals. Always start with equals. Our residual cell, shift 6 caret squared, and we get a value, and we're going to copy that down and take the sum of all of those squares, and you see that you have another number